Narcissistic parents. Weird mannerisms their abused adult children have. Have you ever wondered why some adults carry with them strange mannerisms, behaviors that seem out of place or inconsistent with the people they become? These mannerisms can seem like small quirks on the surface, but when traced back to childhood, they often tell a much deeper story. Growing up with a narcissistic parent is one of the most emotionally draining and psychologically damaging experiences one can endure, but the effects often go unnoticed until adulthood. Abused children of narcissistic parents may develop unique, sometimes bizarre, coping mechanisms or mannerisms, which often leave them confused or self-conscious. These traits are the subconscious scars of years spent under the control of a narcissistic force that shaped their development. In this video, we'll delve deep into the weird mannerisms exhibited by adult children of narcissistic parents. While these quirks may appear random to the untrained eye, they are actually psychological survival mechanisms rooted in years of emotional and psychological abuse. If you've ever been unsure about your own behavior or noticed strange habits in someone you know, this video could shed light on the hidden impact of narcissistic parenting. By the end, you'll understand how these seemingly odd behaviors are connected to a lifetime of manipulation, invalidation, and emotional neglect. So, stay with us to uncover what narcissistic parenting truly does to its victims. Before we get into the specifics of these unique mannerisms, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with others who might benefit from this information. The more awareness we can spread about narcissistic abuse, the more we can help others break free from its toxic hold. Let's get into it and explore these fascinating and often heartbreaking behaviors that many adult children of narcissists carry with them throughout their lives. Now let's look at the mannerisms that commonly manifest in adult children of narcissistic parents, behaviors that are deeply rooted in their past experiences, even if they may seem odd or perplexing to others. Constant need for validation. One of the most prominent traits exhibited by adult children of narcissists is the need for constant validation. This need manifests in a variety of ways, but it often appears as an obsessive need for reassurance in personal and professional settings. Adult children of narcissists may frequently ask questions like, "Was that okay?" or "Do you think I did a good job?" It may seem harmless, but these repeated questions stem from years of being told that they were never good enough, no matter how hard they tried. Narcissistic parents often withhold praise or use conditional affection, meaning love and validation are only given when the child behaves in a way that pleases the narcissist. This leaves the child feeling perpetually inadequate, even when they accomplish something significant. As an adult, the individual might continue to seek that external validation in an attempt to fill a void that was created during childhood. It's as if they've internalized the belief that they will never be good enough unless someone else tells them they are. This constant need for validation is not limited to major accomplishments. It can also show up in small, everyday interactions. The adult child may be hyper-aware of how others view them, seeking out compliments or approval even for the simplest tasks. This often creates a cycle where they feel more secure when receiving praise, but it also leaves them emotionally dependent on others for self-worth. People-pleasing behavior. Another mannerism that often develops in adult children of narcissistic parents is people-pleasing. As children, they learn to cater to their narcissistic parents' every whim, as a means of gaining affection or avoiding punishment. Over time, this need to please the narcissist becomes ingrained into their psyche, and as adults, they carry this habit into their relationships, workplaces, and social circles. People-pleasing behaviors can be seen in an adult child of a narcissist through excessive compromise, over-apologizing, or always saying yes to requests, even when it's to their detriment. They might struggle to set healthy boundaries, afraid that saying no will result in conflict or disapproval. This pattern of behavior can be incredibly exhausting, as the individual sacrifices their own needs in favor of others, all while suppressing their emotions to keep the peace. The root of people-pleasing stems from the belief that love and acceptance are conditional. In childhood, the narcissistic parent's love may have only been offered when the child performed perfectly or behaved in a way that catered to the parent's needs. Now, as an adult, the child learns to keep others happy in an attempt to avoid criticism or rejection. However, this can lead to deep frustration, resentment, and a sense of self-violation as their needs continue to go unmet. Perfectionism and fear of failure. Perfectionism is another common and destructive trait that adult children of narcissistic parents often develop. Narcissistic parents have unrealistically high expectations, demanding that their children achieve constant excellence. Any mistake or failure is often met with harsh criticism, ridicule, or worse, emotional withdrawal. As a result, the child learns to fear failure above all else, becoming obsessed with doing everything flawlessly to avoid disapproval. In adulthood, this perfectionism often manifests as an overwhelming need to control every situation, person, and detail. Whether it's at work, in relationships, or even in personal hobbies, the fear of making mistakes can prevent them from moving forward. They might become paralyzed by the thought of not being perfect, and this fear can prevent them from trying new things, taking risks, or pursuing their own dreams. Perfectionism in these individuals also often ties into their need for external validation. If they believe that perfection equals approval, they will go to extreme lengths to create an illusion of flawlessness, even at the expense of their own well-being. Unfortunately, the deeper they fall into this pattern, the further they drift from accepting themselves as they truly are. Over-apologizing and self-doubt. A particularly striking and often distressing mannerism that adult children of narcissistic parents may exhibit is an overwhelming tendency to apologize excessively and an ongoing battle with self-doubt. Narcissistic parents, in particular, have a way of making their children feel as though they are always at fault, even when they've done nothing wrong. This subtle but persistent manipulation can lead to a sense of deep and unrelenting guilt in the child, making them feel responsible for situations that they have no control over. Even in the absence of any real wrongdoing, these children internalize the notion that they are perpetually at fault, an idea that follows them well into adulthood. As these individuals grow older, the habit of over-apologizing often becomes ingrained in their behavior, manifesting in ways that seem automatic and out of their control. In many cases, they find themselves apologizing for things that clearly aren't their fault, such as someone else's bad mood or a misunderstanding that has no bearing on their actions. In fact, they may even apologize for situations where no apology is necessary at all. This behavior becomes such a habitual response that it can take over their daily interactions, causing them to feel like they are always in a position where they owe an apology, even when they have done nothing to warrant it. This automatic apology pattern is compounded by an overwhelming sense of self-blame. When criticized, even in the most gentle or constructive manner, these individuals will often default to the belief that they are at fault. Their immediate reaction is not to defend themselves or consider whether the criticism is justified, but rather to assume they have made a mistake. This is not necessarily because they agree with the critique, but because their emotional response has been conditioned over a lifetime of narcissistic abuse to feel inadequate or wrong. They may struggle with how to respond appropriately in such situations, feeling as though any negative comment, no matter how small, reflects poorly on them. The root cause of this over-apologizing behavior lies in a childhood spent being told, either directly or indirectly, that they were never good enough. Narcissistic parents often dismissed their children's feelings or needs, making them feel invisible, unimportant, or unworthy of love unless they behaved in ways that satisfied the narcissist's expectations. The constant need for approval and the absence of unconditional love during formative years can lead to a person feeling that they must apologize for simply existing or having their own thoughts and emotions. Over time, these individuals develop an ingrained belief that their feelings and desires are secondary to the needs of others, particularly those who hold power over them. In adulthood, this conditioned response becomes deeply ingrained, and the individual may go out of their way to avoid confrontation at all costs. They are so accustomed to the idea that any conflict, no matter how minor, will lead to rejection or criticism, that they automatically adopt a posture of submission. This pattern of over-apologizing and self-doubt is often a subconscious attempt to maintain peace and avoid the negative repercussions of speaking up or asserting themselves. They may apologize even when they know they are not in the wrong, simply because it feels safer to do so than to risk facing conflict or disapproval. This creates an ongoing cycle of self-recrimination and emotional exhaustion. For many adult children of narcissists, this habit is not just a personality quirk, but a survival mechanism, a coping strategy learned early in life in response to the toxic emotional environment created by their parents. It's an effort to navigate the emotional minefield of their upbringing, where approval was unpredictable and affection was often conditional. As a result, these individuals continue to carry the weight of this learned behavior into adulthood, often without fully understanding why they are driven to apologize so often or why they struggle to trust their own judgment. What may seem like a minor or harmless mannerism to others is actually a deep-seated reflection of years of emotional manipulation and abuse that shaped their worldview and sense of self. Hypervigilance and anxiety. The last mannerism that often arises from narcissistic abuse is a heightened sense of anxiety and hypervigilance. Narcissistic parents are unpredictable, often swinging from one extreme of behavior to another, making it difficult for the child to know what to expect. This creates an environment where the child is always on edge, constantly anticipating the next emotional storm. As an adult, this hypervigilance can turn into anxiety, restlessness, or even panic attacks. They might be unable to relax or feel safe in certain situations, always on alert for criticism, rejection, or emotional manipulation. Even in relationships where they are no longer being abused, they might feel an overwhelming sense of fear or distrust, unable to fully trust others due to their experiences with their narcissistic parent. This anxiety can also manifest in constant overthinking, where the individual excessively worries about potential outcomes, actions, and decisions. It's as if their nervous system has been permanently wired for stress and anxiety, making it difficult for them to settle into a calm, grounded existence. If any of these mannerisms resonate with you, it's essential to recognize that they are not just quirks or personality flaws. They are the product of years spent under the influence of narcissistic abuse. Understanding these behaviors is the first step toward healing and breaking free from the emotional chains of narcissistic parenting. Thank you for joining us in exploring how narcissistic parents can shape the way their children experience the world. If you found this article insightful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might need to hear this message. Remember, healing is possible, and awareness is the first step toward reclaiming your life from the lasting effects of narcissistic abuse. 5 signs that a narcissist in your life was sent by the devil. There are certain people in life who feel as though they just don't belong in your world. People who leave you feeling drained, confused, and as though you're in an emotional battle that never seems to end. If you've ever been in a relationship with someone who seems to delight in hurting you, or someone who manipulates you to the point of feeling like you're losing your mind, you might be dealing with a narcissist. But when their behavior goes beyond cruelty, leaving you questioning whether they are truly human, it starts to feel as if their motives are far more sinister. Could it be possible that a narcissist in your life is sent by forces beyond our understanding, maybe even by the devil himself? The signs are subtle, but undeniable when you take a deeper look. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 signs that a narcissist in your life might be nothing short of a destructive force, wreaking havoc with a purpose that feels darker than mere selfishness. If you've ever wondered why certain relationships feel like a spiritual battle, this is for you. Stick around, because we'll be examining these behaviors in depth and giving you the tools to identify and protect yourself from this invisible threat. Before we dive into the disturbing signs, make sure you get that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with anyone who might need to hear this message. Narcissists aren't always easy to spot, and they certainly don't come with a warning label. If you've ever felt like someone in your life might be more of a predator than a partner, friend, or colleague, then this video will give you the clarity you need to understand their true nature. Let's uncover the hidden manipulations together, one by one. So, what exactly makes a narcissist seem like they're straight out of a nightmare? Let's break it down with 5 unmistakable signs that someone in your life might be more destructive than you realize. Sign 1. They leave you feeling exhausted, as if your energy is being drained. One of the most obvious signs that you're dealing with a narcissist who is behaving in an almost supernatural way is how drained you feel after interacting with